E, shift, one. Hello, 154, hello, check. Hello, check, mic check. Hello, check. Hello, check. Hello, mic check. Hello, check. Hello, check. Good. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. गोल को स्टार्ट कर दो भाई, हम नहीं बोल पाएंगे इतना। इधर भाई 26 27 Guys, roll call, please. Hello. 33, 34, 33, 34, 35, hello. 36, 37, 37. Guys, please थोड़ा शांत हो जाओ. 37. इसका एक माइक और होगा भैया. हाँ ठीक. 43. Please continue. Hello. ठीक. 46. वहाँ पे ले लेंगे तो. चलो या ऐसा हाँ नहीं है क्या आगे बोल चलो 51 चार ठीक है, 3 इधर रखेंगे बाकी क्या गाइस स्पीकर ने जल्दी अटेंडेंस खत्म कर फालतू बकचोदी मत करो ठीक है 64
है वो
65 66 67
68 बैठ जाओ यार नहीं
71
इतने लोग नहीं, 2 लोग खड़े हो जाओ।
73
माइक का इधर एक माइक
74 74 जोर से बोलना 75 76 77 78 जोर से बोलो 79
चेक कर
101 भूषण 109 पिछले समय का
ठीक है 101 121 नहीं है बोलो तो 123 है
123
वो तो मीडिया
124 125
126 126
84
128 129 130 131 132 133 134 135 136 137 138 139 141 142 143 144 145 146 147
वो है
148 149 150 151 152 153 154 155 156 157 158 161 162 163 164 167 168 169 170 171 172 173 174 175 181 182 183 184 185 186 180 189 190 201 202
जल्दी खाना है गाइस
209
नहीं गाड़ियां शुद्ध कर रहे और बहुत होता बीच में कहते हैं 3x शुद्ध है कतो में
260 270 280 220 221 222 223 224 225 226 227 228 229 230 232 233 234 238 239 240.
30.
Guys, settle down. Speakers are on the back. जा.
आगे सबका लग गया ना?
Good afternoon, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to this exciting session as part of Vivaan 10.0, our flagship business conclave. I'm Adya Pandey, JCC of Social Awareness and Sustainability Cell Koshish. And I'm Arushi Jain, JCC of the Consulting and Strategy Club Socrates of IIFT. Today, we are thrilled to explore the theme Sustainable Leadership in Turbulent Times, navigating consulting firms through recessions. Through the insights from our distinguished experts, they will shed light on strategies to navigate dynamic challenges in the modern business landscape. I'd like to take a moment to introduce our esteemed speakers, each of whom brings an extraordinary wealth of experience and expertise. We are honored to have with us Mrs. Shruti Ganguly, who is a highly experienced professional with over 2 decades of expertise in the corporate and social sectors, focusing on corporate social responsibility and sustainability. Currently serving as the Director of Net Zero and Sustainability at Turner & Townsend, she previously headed the Corporate Sustainability and ESG Solutions practice at Sattva Consulting. A certified Six Sigma Black Belt and IBM certified Lean Coach, Mrs. Ganguly brings a unique blend of operational excellence and sustainability leadership. She has led impactful projects in diverse areas, including skilling, livelihoods, gender, education, healthcare, and the environment. Her extensive experience in corporate strategy, program management, and stakeholder engagement has helped shape sustainable practices across organizations. And I'd like to get her on the stage. Next, I have the privilege of introducing Mr. Rajesh Kumar Menon, who is a visionary leader and the Chief Quality and Sustainability Officer at Licious, with over 20 years of expertise driving quality, safety, and sustainability in the food industry. Under his visionary leadership, Licious achieved plastic neutrality for financial year 2022, recovering over 540 metric tons of plastic waste, a remarkable milestone. He has played a pivotal role in shaping ESG strategies while overseeing quality assurance, supply chain innovation, and R&D for a wide range of products, from fresh meats to ready-to-eat meals. With a rich history of leadership at industry giants like Domino's Pizza, Dunkin' Donuts, and Eastern Condiments, Mr. Kumar Menon is a certified lead auditor for international standards and a recognized ESG specialist. His deep knowledge of food safety regulations, operational excellence, and sustainability has consistently delivered measurable impact across the organizations he's led. Please join me in welcoming him on stage. Now I'll hand over the mic to Arushi to introduce our next guest.
Thank you, Arya. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce Mrs. Shruti Kumar Ma'am, the Associate Director of Capital Projects at PwC India and an accomplished alumna of the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade. With over 17 years of diverse experience at leading firms like L&T and PwC, she has consistently demonstrated her exceptional ability to deliver global projects and drive sustainable growth strategies. Currently at PwC, she spearheads large capital expenditure initiatives that create sustainable value through tech-enabled ecosystems and renewable energy solutions. Her expertise in project management, business development, and stakeholder engagement spans the infrastructure and entertainment sectors, positioning her as a leader in her field. Recently, Mrs. Kumar has achieved a significant milestone by obtaining a certification in contract management from the prestigious Indian Institute of Management in Ahmedabad, reflecting her acumen and commitment to continuous learning. A proud recipient of bronze medal from IIFT, we are thrilled to have her here today. Please join me in welcoming her on the stage. Now it is also my pleasure to introduce our moderator for the session, Professor Gautam Datta sir, who is a distinguished professor of international marketing and entrepreneurship at IIFT. With a PhD from IIT, an MBA in marketing, and a BE in mechanical engineering. He has also completed advanced programs at Harvard Business School and the United Nations Center for Regional Development, Japan. Dr. Datta's expertise lies in international marketing management, cross-border trade, and small and medium enterprise internationalization. His research, published in leading journals such as the Journal of Borderland Studies, reflects insights gained from his first-hand experiences visiting border regions. He has also taught at institutions like the Asia Institute of Technology, Bangkok, and served as head of the MBA department at Sikkim Manipal University Institute of Technology. We are privileged to have Dr. Datta with us. Please join me in welcoming Sir David. Thank you. And without further ado, I now hand over the floor to our esteemed guest.
So it's my privilege on my personal behalf and from the institute as well to welcome you all. Suti ma'am, and Rajesh ji sitting on my right side. It's a great institute and I congratulate students as well. For arranging so nicely. But light is a little bit more what is required. But it's good to see that the topic is sustainability. And the guest, esteemed guest, they are very much conversant on that topic. So I believe that we'll go with speaking one by one. And before that, let me make my understanding. Actually, I'll be what by your understanding also. But since the topic is sustainability, I feel that we actually attracted those who are in academic line to sustainability when this SDG goal in 2015 was declared. And the 17 goals, actually at that time we are thinking that, okay, this is something, people will do, and there's nothing related to us in the academic line or somebody else's responsibility, or automatically it will happen. But that's 2015 sustainability goal, 17 sustainability goal, those required to be evaluated by, achieved by 2020. Now, if you see that every year they are evaluating what the progress made in the sustainability goal. And the progress made in 2024, it shows that only 17% we have achieved. And mind-boggling for everybody who is sitting in this auditorium, that the fossil fuel consumption compared to 2015, it tripled during 2024. So we are talking about risk zero, net zero, sustainability dimension in business and business entity. But at some point of time, we told to students that look, as a business person, what you need to do, or a business manager, that drive your profit as much as possible. Then sometime we curtailed it back. We said, make the profit optimum, don't make maximum. And right now we find that make the profit which is sustainable. And so the sustainability dimension is not only in one sector or two. It's encompassing everybody of us, because the very existing of the globe is in stake. And if the planet is not there, where will we go? And industry, we always eager to hear from the industry, because they are a major stakeholder in this reduction and making sustainability. And when I came to know about the theme, sustainability leadership dimension in industry, we are very much eager to listen from you, because you possibly will show us the path ahead of us, which allow this place, the planet, a safe place to be back. So without wasting time, the students are eager not to listen me, but from you, straight away. So I will start with the way it has been announced. Suti ma'am, you talk about what you think the sustainability in business domain. What the scenario right now in the business domain, how we have managed to have it so that the sustainability goals is active. That's obviously how to develop it and how to go in the path ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for inviting us. Great stage, beautiful, and all the people behind it, thank you so much. Coming back to the topic, sustainability, just a couple of historical updates. So sustainability is not new. If you come to think about it, the sustainability, the first time ever it got used was in 1972. At that point, and if you look at how the shift has happened, broadly the shift right from industrial era when it moved, the businesses and the industries thought that it would be good to look at EHS as which is environment, health and safety, of workers being the strongest phenomena when it comes to sustainability. And the purpose was that it would affect their business. If the workers are not taken care of, the business might go down. And therefore, they started focusing a lot on the edges. As that went along, they realized the next shift happened when they thought that, okay, it's great to the environmental health and safety of workers, but then there is a water, there is environmental resources that's getting utilized. We need to take care of that. And that's where people started focusing on environmental, projects, looking after the local ecology and the biodiversity. And whatever little they understood at that point. Then from there, the movement, the next shift happened was like, great, we are talking about the workers, we are talking about environment. How about looking at the society where we are operating? And that's when the CSR came into play. And the fourth shift that happened was that we looked at all of them in silo till there. And then the shift was towards saying that let's look at sustainability in totality. Because when you fix one of the, pillars and the others don't work, eventually your output will still remain the same. And therefore the focus, and you hear a lot more about sustainability and ESG and things like that, which our corporates are looking and focusing today. Now, why is it important to look at it today and was it not important earlier? I think one of the important shifts that's happened over the last few decades is even before SDGs came in, there was the Millennium Development Goals, the MDGs, which happened in 2000, and then it got revamped. Today, there are a lot of organizations who are looking at information and data. They were existing before, but there was no measure. So today, people are looking at NITI Aayog for themselves. In India, we have a NITI Aayog index where all the UN SDGs are getting reported, and there is data which is rolling up. Of course, we can't trust every number of that because it's not holistic. There is gaps in that, but there is some system, some process in place. Why are corporates looking at sustainability today? To be very honest, they are not looking at it because it is the good thing to do or the right thing to do to save the world. They're doing it because it's a business risk today. Sustainability is done because when you're operating in an environment which is changing so dynamically, where you don't know what the future holds for you, when you can't plan your supply chain, when you don't know the raw material that you're sourcing today, whether that will be available tomorrow for you to operate and, of course, make business profits, you have to act on it today so that tomorrow you are taking care of it. So the narrative is not that sustainability is for the environment. My personal thought is that the environment will somewhere survive in some form or the other. It's the humans who have a problem today because we will not survive the kind of world we are building for ourselves. You look at the development we said just before we came on stage, we were talking about the definition of development itself. Now, sustainability by itself is, if you look up the definition, you would find it says sustainability is taking care of today's needs without compromising tomorrow's needs. Which means tomorrow, whatever you need, you should not be consuming everything today itself. But are we really thinking that far? I don't think we do that so much as yet. So when you look at the processes that a corporate today follows, even a couple of years back, the biggest, the parameter that any business would look at to make decision would be either quality of the product, quality of the material, quality of services. It would be cost, which is super critical. If they are procuring material, it has to be the lowest cost. If they are selling it, they have to make profit. And the third dimension would be time. So it has to be timely done. So the QCD matrix, as they call it. So beyond this, they were never looking at sustainability as a parameter. So even today, when procurement team looks for vendors to bring them material, it is never evaluated whether it's sourced ethically, whether they have human rights being taken care of, are they sourcing it from the closest distance with their best quality. So these are the parameters that the corporate has to learn. While we might believe corporate knows answers, but corporate doesn't know answers yet. We are also trying to solve for it as and when we understand the problem. The way we look at problem and the way we look at sustainability today are on two parameters. One, what is the impact the corporate is doing on the world around them? Be it through their services, product, their own footprint of operations, their footprint on building and suppliers and vendors. And the second is the risk that the business has. So this is called double materiality. If you guys look up somewhere, you would know that the impact that the business has on the environment and the effect of the changing environment in the business. So when you talk about sustainability, these are the two aspects which corporate really today worries about and thinks about. All the frameworks and standards we talk about are just helping them to think on those lines. None of them are completely the answer. So therefore, you will see most organizations picking up the best that works for them. One last thing before I kind of hand over. Sustainability is not a black or a white, and not all corporates have the same definition as well. Why it is different is because most corporates, important thing is what does the stakeholder that the businesses have, which would be their investors, which would be their consumers, the customers, the suppliers, the vendors, the employees, every stakeholder who's a part of the business and is contributing in some way, the way they think about the business, what matters to them differs from business to business. I might be in the same business of, let's say, glasses. I make glass and you make glass. But I may be operating in a different geography and you may be operating in a different geography. I may be operating for a different set of clients. You may be operating from a different set of clients. I may be getting my raw material from a different bunch of vendors and you may be getting it from a different one. So the risk I have may be very different from the risks you have. So therefore, the way we would look at sustainability is very personal and very specific. So when you go back into the business, maybe a couple of years from now or whenever you do think about it that there is no one guideline which fits all. So whichever role you are in, whatever you are working on, whatever your business priorities are, look up for the kind of impact you can create and the kind of risks your business has because of it. So hopefully I've been able to answer some part of it.
Thank you. Thank you. You have nicely explained actually what was looking for, because he is handling so many corporates and giving a horizontal view. It's heartening to note that corporate is quite aware of. And in their own way, in the different sectors, they are affecting the sustainability dimension. That's great. We'll come back to you a little bit more, to get the inner understanding also. But, another important thing, I'm just going the way they have invited. You are more important because most people look at home. Rajesh was invited second. So we're going to that dimension. See, my question to Rajesh is very inquisitive in nature. Why inquisitive in nature? I just saw ESG, and we have been talking about that supply chain is not a linearly flow or linearly drawn. It may need industry to take care of sustainability and product life cycle. The product life cycle is, extended, it's not linearly drawn. Supply chain is not linearly drawn, just to have the sustainability dimension built in. And another aspect is that ESG, we are looking into it very carefully, that it is going to solve the problem of sustainability and we'll have the sustainability dimension in industry. Now, in ESG, it is not that it's a self-certified. It's a self-certified, all these forms are going to build up a self-certificate. And lots of quotes we are getting from Bloomberg or Reuters. How far these quotes are implemented practically. And most of them, your own experience in your own company. That dimension and the leadership role that you are seeing there, in your company and the account your experience. The very open question regarding all of them.
So it is not just an open question, there are multiple questions. So let me look at it in a little bit different way because we spoke about Millennium Development Goals and now it is Sustainability Development Goals and we have achieved only 70% and it has to be 100% by 2030. So are we going to rename it into some other thing like impactful, demonstrable goals, IDP, IDG or something? I don't know because that is what going to happen. And is it just started in 1972 or the concept of sustainability, was it there even before? I was just thinking about one thing, that is during the peak of Cold War, the American president and the Russian president came up with a treaty saying we will reduce our nuclear weapon from 32 to 16, any 50% reduction. What is this 32 and 16? Because the combined volume of the nuclear power they have is capable enough to destroy the Earth 32 times. So that is, they came up with a treaty to reduce it to 16. What is the meaning of that? There is, after one destruction, the Earth is not there. So this is how somehow the industry or the UN or the governments are running the sustainable development goals also. Having all these goals and some mitigation plans around it is not going to save us. What we need to have is, we need to have some sort of philosophical approach into addressing this. So answer to your question that how as a leader or in my own organization, I run this sustainable ESG, because ESG is aimed to our work charter, I think 3-4 years back when we were going for our CDC investment. Because I'm not saying that it's an investor pressure, but the organization started acknowledging these 3 letters from that point of view. So then we are into meat industry, and you know that around 29% of GHG emission is coming from the meat industry. So we are the real culprit. And then what is the ESG for us? Because your business itself is not in favor of the concept of sustainability or even the ESG, navigating the ESG table. Then I started looking at it in a different way, because there were pressure for, not pressure, there were, so the one of the actionable for any food industry or which is specific in the meat industry was to find an alternate protein. So in the last 2-3 years, there is hype about alternate protein. And there are plant meat, within the meat, plant origin meat product that is coming to. But as Sir said, there are 17 SDGs. And the climate change is the SDG 13. Is it that the only SDG, or is that SDG is having anything more important for our life? No. All 17 are equally important. What are the first 3? No poverty, zero hunger, health and well-being. The first 3 SDGs are directly linked to the food industry. Across the globe, 29% of GHG is coming out of meat industry. 60% of that is from the beef. Beef is banned in India. Even in dishes, we are not doing beef. What is the total carbon dioxide equivalent out of poultry? It is 6 to 8, which is almost equal to many other agricultural products. What is that of fish and seafood? Because in Bombay, we are all fish eaters. Silsa is our vegetarian food. Yeah. So what is that? It is 2 to 3. I'm not talking about aquaculture shrimp. It is more than 10. So we can't have a universal yardstick or universal action plan. It should be country specific, it should be geography specific, it should be industry specific. The other side of the story, the West consumes protein at 100 plus kg per capita consumption. What is the WHO recommendation of protein? Anyone knows? It is 30 kg. That is the WHO recommendation. What we Indian, our data, it is 6 to 8. So we are far below even the WHO recommendation. That is what we are, a protein malnourished country. Protein deficiency is the problem out here. For the West, it is surplus. They are consuming more than what is required. So they have to reduce their protein consumption. We have to increase our protein consumption. So mimicking the West, because a lot of funds are coming into alternate protein, is not the way that India needs to. India needs to cater more protein. Obviously, the source should be sustainable. So let us forget about the beef, which is emitting more carbon. Do we need to have poultry? Do we need to have fish and seafood? That is promoting. So what I'm trying to say is like that, even the sustainability is not about yes or no. It is not about banning the plastic and promoting the paper. Because if you go to the paper lobby and plastic lobby, both can come up with equal amount of data to substantiate this is more eco-friendly. And both are true if you go with fact and figures. But then we should apply our wisdom into that. We were talking about the knowledge, information, and wisdom. Now we are stuck with the information and knowledge. So we are jumping into conclusions to how to navigate the sustainability there. So answer to your question is like that. I am looking at this in a different way, which is relevant to me, my country, my geography, my climate, and how it will be going to impact globally. I'm remembering one thing from Indra Noy's book. See, because I'm from Kerala. So we know that in Coca-Cola company is stopped from their operation in only one place across the globe. That is in Palakkad. So Mexico, due to the groundwater issue. Due to the political pressure, they stopped it. It's true. The Palakkad is close to the Coimbatore, which is groundwater is getting well minimized. So the beverage industry, it is not wise to run the air. But in Renu's book, she was saying, I proposed Kerala government to have Pepsi bottling plant in Alapi district. We do have a place known as Kuttanad, which is below the seawater line. Even a single rain, the village around that area become flooded. Because that area is low-lying area, it is below the seawater. And it is brackish water, meaning little bit of salinity is there. So there are technology to ozonize it into drinking water. So the not allowing an industry is not a solution. Allow the industry in the correct location and meet their requirement. So this is in nutshell. You students should not look at sustainability as an activist or a columnist or a channel discussion panelist trying to propagate their agenda. We should look at it in a holistic manner. Sustainability is always about balancing everything. So that is the theory of that, and it's a way of life. It is not about data. It is not about analytics. It is not about anything else. It is all about how you perceive that thing in your routine life, and there are no one to talk the essence of that to India, to the world, other than we Indians. Our way of life was the sustainable way of life. So I'm not continuing that. Maybe in the next session we'll talk more about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh. Nicely explained, that that's the way of life. And it's true. Isn't everybody's responsibility. It's not only those people, directly or indirectly connected, but it's everybody's responsibility. Those are just observing also for their responsibility also. So thank you for that. We'll get back to you. Now, Madam Sujiban, how is the consulting company as a strategist? How we look at that dimension of sustainability aspect in the industry as of now? We will interact with so many companies. The final, the last question.
Thank you, sir. So, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for having us today to share our thoughts with you. So, I think both my co-panelists have shared some amazing data, facts on how the industry operates, and specifically, the ES and the G aspects. But let me start with the way Gen Z like with the short strong slang that you all fond of. We live in a VUCA world.
now I'll go back to the students sitting here and looking at us, because you have heard, the three very knowledgeable person in the industry here. Yeah. You have heard three very important persons speaking on different aspects of industry and sustainability, leadership, and their knowledge base, that you must utilize. And you people, those are sitting in front of us, is the tomorrow's manager. The leadership position that we are talking about, you will to have taken forward the leadership position. So I understand that you sitting there, you're listening our conversation and the speakers are speaking. You have a number of questions in your mind. So it is your turn to put question, and use the microphone, and whom you are pointing your question, please, let us know, and then put the question straight away. Microphone from the yeah. Repairing microphone because the question to you.
Actually, I think this question is something which everyone can answer. We have been talking about different ways how sustainability goals be achieved and how maybe limited by corporate. But something which we observe is all of this is very capital intensive. It requires a lot of research, capital, and efforts. But something, if you look at the Indian consumer market, people don't really look at the ESG goals or sustainability goals. They look at the price of the product. So if you're going to implement these goals, it's going to be costing a lot of money for the company. So how are we going to implement these without affecting the profit margins of the company?
Okay, good question first. So when you look at sustainability, the shift that we want to do, and I've been in consulting, and she's been in consulting, and we know that it doesn't come easy. So what we look at it is that it's an investment, like you would invest into R&D, the way you would invest into innovation, the way you would invest in the future. That's how sustainability also needs to be looked at. Most organizations today, when they look at sustainability, and you look at, let's say, when the whole plastic wave happened, that you can't use plastic anymore. Most of the organizations have been investing in finding alternatives. When we talk about real estate, we are saying that let's not use too much of cement and let's not use so much of something else. But if not this, then what? So there is an investment that they have to do, not just because it is, again, the good thing or the right thing to do, but also because the regulations are changing very fast. So the day the regulations pushes them to the wall, they will have a risk on the business. So just from that standpoint, there is an investment which is going into it. May not be, but is it not happening at all? That won't be clear. So there is investment happening. The organizations are trying to find alternatives where they can be more sustainable. There are strategy engagements which happens where the organizations are trying to figure out what future risks which will impact their business the most. There's something called future proofing that most organizations do. This is one such tool. So a lot of these things are happening. It is that consumers, you're right. Because even till date, our society has turned into more of a very consumption-heavy, society, and whatever comes cheap, we kind of invest. And I think that's also a mind shift that needs to happen. You would find communication happening to a certain way. Many corporates try to do that as a part of their marketing communication campaigns, where they want to not use degrowth really, but use more like be efficient, be responsible, use it, but consume it, and don't think that I'm giving away means it's going out of the society or out of the system. It doesn't. But I think that part, which is the downstream, still needs to be figured out. The upstream, the organizations are more in control. So there are supply chain conversations, there are alternate material conversations, innovation and R&D happening. India is a hub for all startups and social enterprises who are trying to do so many smaller projects. Of course, they are at startup level at this point, and I think the growth is where we need to kind of escalate that a bit. But so that's where we are. So we have not solved it completely, but consciousness is there. There is certain fund which does go into it. May not be enough today, but some level, yes.
Adding to that, as ma'am said, the business is looking today is not just a profit. It's the profit with a purpose. For example, if I can go from dish distribution, is that It exists because India deserves better food. There are two things from India. It is not only the dishes or the employees of the dishes. It is everyone in India. It includes fishermen. It includes farmers. So if we exist only if we can be able to build better living. But the betterness is not only the quality of the fish goods. It's the quality of the farming. It is the quality of the logistics. It is the quality of everything. So naturally, we don't need to treat it that any ESG or sustainability investment as a separate investment. End of the day, we need to exist as a business entrepreneur. For existing that, we need to cater the better quality of food. It should uplift the livelihood of fishermen and farmer. So eventually everybody will get benefited. So whatever we are putting into our business is an investment for ESG also, sustainability also. There is no separate investment or funding in that. If we start looking at it as a separate thing, it is not going to happen.
Any other question?
Yes. Good afternoon, I'm Vivek Kumar. So my question is also addressed to the entirety of the panel. So we've discussed how sustainability, the image of sustainability varies across organization, varies from person to person. So I'm curious to know what, in your opinion, is the correct goal for sustainability? What parameters do you feel are the most important? Or what do you look for when you're trying to judge, okay, is this project or operation sustainable or not?
A very simple answer in the consulting world is the project giving you value in the long term? Okay, so first of all, you may come and say, that the definition of a long term and a short term is very different. For an insurance company, long term is 50 years. For a FMCG company, you need maybe quickly within a year of enrollment or something so on. So the definition of long term, short term will be different, but typically, corporates look at, and the way we work is that if whatever will be your project objective, you are able to provide value to the client, and you're able to have a sort of a purpose network. So just to give an example, I think all of you would have recently read the last week about Mr. Ratan Tata, right? I think the biggest example of sustained leadership. And in the turbulent times, I just want to give this example because I really feel this is so apt in today's world. What Tata was, just being operated somewhere only in India, but he made sure it became a global conglomerate by acquiring JLR, right? The way it expanded globally, it's a global organization renowned all over the world. And we all know about the trust and integrity that he brought to the whole system. The work that they do on the Tata Trust, so much profit is being channelized to the well-being. So it's a lot. So corporations are thinking about giving back to the society, not limited to profits alone. So we call it purpose-led consulting when we kind of work on projects. But I think that what we really need to learn, when this Mumbai attacks had happened, Ratan Tata was standing there to take care of his employees. That's the kind of leadership that will survive the challenges of the world, and that's how Tata is where it is today. We all know about it, the diversified group it is. So yeah, I think so. It's about giving that value to your clients, and maybe you'd like to add.
I think I'll differ a little with when you say that everybody has a different definition of sustainability, because I believe everybody at the end of the day wants to survive these times. They want to stay and continue to operate, continue to grow, continue to make money. And making money is not bad. If corporates make money, they are going to, the more they make, the more they can give. If they don't make money, they will not be able to support the society as well. So let's also take that out, because somewhere the narrative also becomes that making money by the corporate is a bad thing. But it is not. They have to make profits for them to share it with the society. So therefore, sustainability for most corporates, in my opinion, is the same. That they all want to survive. They want to make sure that they do not get stuck with the risks that's there because of climate change, because of regulations, because of changing expectation of consumers today, because of the material shortage which might happen, and everything around it as well. So again, everybody is trying to do the same thing. They're trying to strive to survive in these times. But what I think is important, and most organizations may choose their battles. And why I say so, and I'll probably also take a minute to clarify between ESG and sustainability, because I often see that we talk about it. The objective of both may be the same. But when ESG started, it started in the 90s. It started off with the whole intention of the investor group. Because we understand that finance is a very critical part of growth and development. Somebody has to put money into the business for the business to start investing in growth. You all are from the foreign trade and this business, so you will understand that how critical the finance plays in this whole development journey. So when ESG happened, it was a way of a tool where the investors would decide which business is better for them to invest and get an ROI. Over a period of time, it moved from investors to all the stakeholders because everybody wanted to be safe with the kind of business they're investing into. So therefore, when the objective of both may be same, sustainability still, if you look at most of the sustainability reports, they may be loosely written as a theoretical, narrative, whereas ESG will have very critical indicators. But those indicators may be selective. Everybody may choose to say, I will solve for the groundwater, and somebody may say, I would look at the air quality in my region. Because everybody's problem that they're trying to address is very different. But the outcome of that is the same. The business has to survive. So coming back to your question, I think objective of everybody is the same. The means of getting there may vary.
Sustainability is well defined by UN. And I'm not remembering the exact wording, but the essence is like that. We need to use the resources for today's requirement as well as for the future, and preserve it in the right quality and quantity for the future. So the objective sustainability means it takes for each and every one, every country, every institution, every industry, and every as a global it is diamond. What differs is the materiality. The materiality assessment for each industry, each sector, each nation differs. So how we will arrive at the sustainability development goals is different, but the goals remain same. Thanks.
Hi, ma'am. So, ma'am, my question is primarily to Shruti, ma'am, and it's just that. So, you talked about how India is a budding place for startups and also manufacturing is a very big goal for government also. And as we understand, ma'am, the countries that are there abroad, right, who are developed now, they will spend a lot in manufacturing as a very initial part of it, and obviously, so they didn't have the sustainability goals back then. But now India is in that place where it's trying to build up a new ramp of manufacturing. But is it not that as soon as we focus more on manufacturing, it's very difficult to focus on sustainability at the same time because we are not price competitive, and it's a very good problem that we could probably fall in the middle income trap and never reach that developed country status because of this sustainability problem that we have. So I just wanted to know your views on that.
Thank you, and a very good question. So, see, the way you have to understand this is that we have a goal. Mr. Modi has set a goal primarily for all of you. 2047, we have to be a developed economy. Okay? So, this is not a small goal, right? We are a huge nation. So, and then of course, we have these various rules and regulations which are working across. And I think your question is very, very apt because the objective of growth versus the sustainable aspects are two different subjects which always, kind of diverge. But I think the way we can kind of handle this is that the growth has to be maintained, right? There is no way. So, for example, what did the government do? They had the national hydrogen policy set so that we have the storage issues of the world, India getting sorted. Semiconductor, how to get those people, we had PLI as high as 70-80% of the capex, that we will give it back to you if you come and set up here. So that the first and foremost problem of self-sufficiency is resolved. You guys would have read in one of the case studies that when Suez Canal accident happened in 2021, how supply chains got disrupted. Because of those 6 days of disruption, we lost 0.1% of the global GDP. Can you believe that? 95 billion USD. And the sad part was 75% was attributable to India. So we as a growing nation definitely have to, keep thinking about self-sufficiency and reliance. But at least I see from a global perspective, our leadership is doing a phenomenal job. Just to give you an example, I was reading an article and it said about the CBAM, right? So while they are trying to impose those restrictions on us, if you see the per capita emissions of where a European country today is and where we are, there is no comparison, right? We definitely have that scope to keep developing. So when we work on these aspects, we have to find those nuances. Yet, think about wherever we can bring the sustainable elements in our growth journey, like the renewable energy aspect, getting the right technology in, and also new business models. So, for example, what Tesla did, they had their when they had the EV factory, they had their own lithium-ion manufacturing setup for themselves. For example, what Nestle does, they collect this used cooking oil and they make biofuels of the future, right? So it's a very fine balance between how you really grow further. I hope that helps.
So we talk about sustainability a lot. It's a buzzword today, but there's a changing attitude. People are becoming more and more aware about sustainability. Yet there remains a significant gap between people adopting the sustainable products. So what are the challenges? What are the barriers against the people not adopting the sustainable products? And more importantly, how can we overcome this?
To whom you are putting this question?
Anyone can answer.
Question. So I think the biggest challenge, and again, you're talking about the downstream, the consumers, particularly the B2C, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when you talk about it, the only factor that matters is today actually two factors which decide how it will get adopted. One is the price, and the second is the access. So when you talk about the price will come down when the scale goes higher. And that's a very chicken and egg problem. Today, if you look at it, forget about everything else. Organic vegetables, I would not want to pay 20 rupees extra for something else, which that 20 rupees won't even make a difference. But I still don't want to pay for that 20 rupees, but would rather go for something which is not organic. So it's a behavioral change, and therefore that's the first thing that needs to be addressed. There has to be incentivized, the farmers and people who do that. There are enough case studies where the agricultural value chain or certain farmers have moved and they have seen benefit for 3-4 years. So the farmers also have to stay along in that journey of being organic for 3-4 years to come to a place where they make money. And consumers also have to make that shift and say, okay, it's okay to pay extra and kind of get into the ecosystem. So that part is the price. Second, which is the access, is how easily accessible it is. So organic today also doesn't very easily available to all of us. It is far and few. Again, it is related to point one, but it's not easily accessible. And therefore, the more accessible it becomes and the more cost effective it becomes, there will be an adoption. And the third, I think, which, so we were working with the textile industry, some senior leaders, and we were talking about why can they not move towards, when they are so much of fast fashion, why are we not moving towards organic cotton? And so organic cotton, the production is, and just as an example, I'm saying that the cost of creating an organic fabric is much higher than what they would do for something else. So somebody has to pay the price for becoming organic. And today, in the entire value chain, there's nobody who's paying for it. We are trying to get there. There is a little bit of awareness, but until it becomes cost effective as a country, it's kind of ingrained. We will never suddenly break that mindset and say, I'm going to pay extra because it's going to change the way the world looks at organic stuff. So I think it's more of a mass movement. There are these two parameters, but once they come in play, I believe your challenges will be taken care of.
So that answers my question.
Good afternoon, everyone. Coming from a manufacturing background, I have seen that it is not very easy to adapt to sustainable changes. But as we can see that I was like Tata, for example, they are setting up factories in different locations where they can use sustainable methods. So, what kind of methods do you think, like a manufacturing unit which is already there, which is say operating for the past 10 years, can do for starters to go one step towards sustainability?
So again, I think what I can suggest and what we're seeing in the industry right now is that when so you're saying basically if there is an existing setup, right, which is the operating, so how does it go into a sustainable mode from changes? So first and foremost thing, which again, like my colleague said, it's a lot about accepting that we need to go this way. It's not easy to change. I know there are costs. I know there are challenges in terms of adoption. But what the companies today are doing, the first and foremost, thinking about their back-end supply chains. Wherever possible in industry, we are thinking about can we procure it in a can we do a local procurement? Number one, that will reduce your carbon footprint to a long extent. If it's complex, you can't locally procure. What next? So I think the very first area to think about changes is your supply chains, how you're procuring your materials, how you're sourcing, and it is applicable not just in but in manufacturing, in industrial infrastructure, everywhere. So that's the first thing I think which the corporates are doing. And then apart from that, the aspect of ESG, which is implemented in an organization, right? So where I see it, you will have a certain, like today, most corporate, let's be practical, the most practical approach is जो करना है जरूरी भी है रेगुलेशन है compliance उतना करते हैं and then let's move on. That's the way people work, right? But today there is a lot more conversation for the stakeholders on these aspects of inclusion. Are we really inclusive? Are we thinking beyond the obvious? So these changes will come when I think, when all of you step out, because see, this generation is coming now. This is much more sensitized to these aspects. So as the managers of tomorrow, I think we will see this change coming in where you're driving this more forcefully. See, it is a lot of passion from an individual to drive these kind of initiatives. Because like you said, it will be a costly affair, it will be a timely affair. So yes, we live in a world which is complex, and that's why we all are here to solve it.
Can I just add one point to that? So many organizations, like you rightly said, who have been operating for a long time today want to become carbon neutral. They have their targets. So practically what happens is most organizations today, they want to do a carbon assessment. They want to do their footprinting. They want to figure out how, and first the operation. They will look at, this is my plant, let's see what my emissions look like today, where are the gaps, where are the leakages, what kind of energy systems are we using, what kind of power requirements I have for tomorrow. So mapping all that, they will have a pathway that they will decide for them. Depending on that, they will find out vendors, they will find out who can, whether they need to buy RECs, whether they need to do PPAs, whether they need to do anything which will help them to move towards a more decarbonized method. Are there any retrofit solutions available to run that plant? Many a times, some of these emissions are fugitive emissions, which are because of the way the process is run, not because of the material by itself. So then the process changes where I think Shruti was mentioning earlier was about this whole change in operational model. How do you operate? So these are the few things that organizations are trying to do today, but retrofitting is expensive. So that's why what we try to do, and because now I also work in real estate consulting. So for India, when we are looking at the businesses which are creating these huge campuses and the huge buildings, these buildings are going to last till at least 2080, 2090 and beyond. Hopefully. So while it lasts that long, the material they're using today is going to store the carbon in it till then. So that's called the embodied carbon. So many organizations who are in that stage of fit outs or the stage of building or construction, we're doing their embodied carbon calculation today to just tell them that, okay, you know what, you're using this. Can you change the proportion? You're using steel. And we have this mentality of let's be safe and order extra. And what happens is many of that goes into waste. So you'll have metal scraps, you will have things like that which do not get again recycled and does not come back into the value chain. So then you try to reduce all that. And that's the way you will say that, okay, you know what, as a business which was The new ones, this is how it fixes. The old one, I do an assessment and see where are the opportunities.
Just one point to add that apart from these aspects, energy is one very big aspect where even existing people can work on their. So a lot of corporates are looking at renewable sourcing for their power requirements which they need for the manufacturing units. So these are just small changes which will definitely help them in the long term.
The last question maybe there.
So we've talked a lot about large firms, large organizations, and the formal sector as such. What about the MSME sectors or smaller industries itself, which contribute a huge part to the Indian economy and they employ crores of Indians itself? So what kind of role do you think they can play in the entire sustainability initiatives itself, and how do you think they can help solve SDG goals itself in India, in a developing country like India?
Yeah, so I think MSMEs, if you have been following the laws in India, SEBI has been making these laws for reporting today. ESG reporting, so BRSR came years back. BRSR 4 came in, which is more of the supply chain, and they're looking at, in fact, the law at that point was mandated for 250 cap organization with the highest market cap, and then it's moving to 50, then 500, 11,000, and so on and so forth, right? So for the ones who are doing it for the upstream, that means the law actually was saying 75% of either purchase or sales, which means the entire, right from upstream and downstream, you have to find out where your maximum footprint is there, you're going to get their data. So while they have not been doing it because nobody asked them to do it in the first place, second, now that it's being asked, there is a cost associated. Anybody who does an LCA does not come cheap. When you get a certification done on that, that doesn't come cheap. There are very limited organizations who can certify you. So therefore, there is a cost associated. So most of the bigger clients, therefore, extend that benefit to their supply chain. So what they do is there are incentives. There are some kind of confidence that gets given that once you are doing this and providing us with the data, we will help you to run the business, or we will be supporting you for the next few years for that continuity of business, and that will help them to get back the investment that they would have made. Nobody has yet cracked it, to be honest, but most of them are trying to get the data. And what we have suggested is that don't go for 100% supply chain and get all the suppliers onto it. Look at what suppliers, either based on the critical material that they're providing, could be based on the revenue that they're generating for you, could be based on the geographical preference, could be based on as a role that they play, or the way their relationship strength that you have. You might want to select 10% of your suppliers and then work with them on identifying. So knowledge building within them has started. Most of the big corporates do it for their MSMEs so that they are aware what's expected. They're talking the same language. The vocabulary is getting standardized to a certain extent. Some of them know today what emissions mean. They understand that when they talk about energy, when they talk about sourcing, and getting the right kind of material and then getting it tested and certified. What does that mean? That language is getting standardized. Third, that they're also doing is, to a certain extent, some products are getting LCAs done, which is the life cycle assessments, and that data is getting provided to the larger corporates for them to report because it's a part of their value chain. So I think it's happening, but again, the bottleneck is finance. Who's funding this the transformation? Who's helping with the knowledge gap which is there? And third, who is anchoring this? Because there's a cost of getting things done. Because you have somebody who has to orchestrate this, and the cost of orchestration today is kind of in thin air and nobody is there to hold it on. So regulation is pushing it, but it's still, to a certain extent, it started with large organizations, and through them, at least the first tier 1 suppliers are getting introduced. 2 and 3 I think it will take some time.
You can add something on SMEs contribution because you are connected with the FMS to that just make it.
Thank you for this question. Because we always used to think the big industries or the lab industries are contributing more into that. I'll tell you one small example. If you consider the manufacturing of washing machine, And if you have an LCA for washing machine as a product, the manufacturing process is only very few percentage of contribution in utilization. The most emission happening when you are using it at your home. So there is a difference of interpretation of the general perception is like that other industries will contribute more or the manufacturing contributes more. It is not like that, the manufacturing. If you look into that, logistics is the biggest contributor because it represents multiple sectors and industries. And technically, there are multiple ways to address these problems through rules and regulations now coming into place. And in Europe, it is double materiality is coming into that. So along with the financial, how double materiality assessment will be, how it will impact the financials, and when getting that financial, how it is affecting the environment. That is there. To an extent, is through rules and regulations only it can implement it into that. So going forward, we need to have our assessment. But all this will happen when there is a management commitment. The training, awareness, post, fund, that is all next to that. The management commitment should have in first place to address any of these issues. That is what I feel. The support, the funding, or the expertise, rating agencies, all are secondary. The first and foremost thing is that whatever the size of your industry, the entrepreneurs, the founders, and the management should have a commitment and understanding about sustainability or peace. That is the first and foremost things to get it done on the ground. You got to something on that. Yes,
So I think my colleagues have covered. I think all I want to kind of make a closing remark is that, just imagine if this 1.4 billion people that we have are committed to a more cleaner, cleaner, and a tech-enabled future. That's what we should all aspire for.
Thank you, ma'am. And Suchi ma'am, and Rajesh sir. And thank you very much. I wish that it could have been continued for another 1 or 2 hours. So many things to learn from the industry stalwart. And this is not the choice that whether we go for it or not. We have to go for it. And this is destined. That if we do not take care of our sustainability dimension, then we will nowhere. Because this is the only planet we can live. One aspect, what I'm getting from your Arshan, that everywhere, the corporate will try to, market some product, which must be enthusing the customers. But anyway, if it is sustainable dimension you're attaining, then the consumer may not be that much of interested because the price may go up, some taste and preference, consumer behavior else, madam was talking, that will require to change, So possibly on the industry side, they're taking a lot of effort in doing that, in managing that. And as Suchi Kumar ma'am was talking about, this requires, a wholesome dimension there. That means the totality involved there in order to handle that problem. ACB dimension you have talked about, Rajesh, he has rightly pointed out, many dimensions that they are, may not be that much. The room-based thing cannot that there awareness, across industry, across that consumers as well, that things the way it happened for the last 20, 30 years, it may not happen in that same way in the next 20, 30 years. So it has to be changed. And that is the main fundamental thing that we get out of our dimension, that we will be accepting the change. And we will be accepting the change in an innovative way. Possibly that is the way out to the future. So with that, I'm thankful to, from my side, from someone's side, from my side, I'm thankful from my side, which you'll be giving your thanks, special thanks. But I'm thankful to for enlightening me and other my students about your prevalent understanding on sustainability leadership. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of IIFT, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude for for your insightful contribution to the panel discussion at Vivaan. The conversation touched on key insights, and every one of you provided unique perspectives, ranging from how important the workers are for a sustainable system planning, the concept of double materiality, where the impact of business and environment are assessed on each other. There is no black or white sustainability, but it is assessed according to the risks and goals of an organization. We also learned about the six ecosystems and how they need to reintegrate to work together. We learned about the goals that remain same while the materiality differs. The audience resonated deeply uh, about what Sir said, that there should be a philosophical approach to sustainability. As a student, we shouldn't look sustainability from the point of view of an activist, but factor in the way we live, which has been our original Indian way. Sustainability today goes beyond the objective of profit towards building integrity and trust between individuals and organizations. And therefore, it is not just a buzzword, but need of the hour for today's world. We sincerely appreciate the time and effort you took to engage with our audience. Your presence makes the event a great success, and we look forward to more opportunities for collaboration in the future. Thank you so much. I would like now call upon stage Dishant to present the mementos to our guests.
As we come to the conclusion of this wonderful session, it's my honor to acknowledge the invaluable contribution of our esteemed speakers. On behalf of the Koshish, the Social Awareness and Sustainability Cell, and Socrates, the Consulting Club, and IIFT Kolkata, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to each of you for sharing your expertise and time with us today. Before we wrap up, we would like to honor our esteemed speakers with a token of appreciation. We would like to present with a memento for the time, effort, and wisdom you have shared with us today. Beginning with Shruti Gambhi, ma'am, please accept this as a and now request Shruti Kumari, ma'am, to come forward and accept the memento. May I now request Mr. Rajesh Kumar Menon to come forward and accept the memento. Finally, I would like to invite Mr. Professor Kolkata to accept a memento as well. Once again, thank you all for making this event memorable, and a special mention to the Student Council for organizing this event. Thank you.
Let's first take a picture here. Whatever works.
Yeah.
Should be organizing this.
take a sustainable picture.
You want to photo with everyone in the back. Yeah.
So where do you want?
Many there. Let's